Okay, so now we are on the right triangles in trigonometry unit. So it's easiest, I will be uploading a diagram such as this one, hold on. Such as this one, and it says SOH CAH TOA. So the easiest way to learn the easiest way to remember the trigonometry ratios is by saying SOH CAH TOA. So SO stands for sine. Sine is on your calculator. So you have the three buttons on yours. You should have a scientific calculator. If not, use Desmos. You cannot do this without one. So you have sine, cosine. So on your calculator, it says sine, cosine, and then tangent. So sine is equal to the opposite side of the angle that they give you. So here they give you this angle, theta. They show the theta symbol. So, you know, this angle could be whatever. It could be 60, 40, 30, whatever. So this angle, and these are dealing with right triangles, by the way. This angle, the opposite side of that is here. It's opposite of the angle. The adjacent side is here. It's adjacent to the angle. The hypotenuse is always directly across from the 90-degree angle. It's always the slanted side and the longest side. So here for the next one, this is the opposite side. This is adjacent. For this one, same thing, opposite, adjacent. It may change depending on where they give you the angle. So sine is equal to opposite over hypotenuse. The opposite side over hypotenuse. It'll make a little more sense once we start doing it. Cosine is equal to the adjacent side over hypotenuse, and tangent is equal to opposite over adjacent. So just know O stands for opposite, H hypotenuse, A adjacent, S for sine, C for cosine, T for tangent. So when you are doing the homework assignment, you're looking for the missing side. So you use SOH CAH TOA when you only have one of the three sides, because usually when you have two of the three sides, you can do the Pythagorean theorem. And you can check your answer by doing the Pythagorean theorem once you have all the sides. But if we have two missing sides, we have to use SOH CAH TOA to find the two missing sides. So the answers in the homework are included. In order to convert this to a decimal, you need to enter it into your calculator. Also, another important thing, because at first this could be a little tricky because you have to, it's a little tricky to adjust to the, you know, how to use the calculator, because, you know, this may be your first time you use sine or cosine or tangent. And some students don't know how to, you know, really work with calculators too well. So you just kind of have to play around with it until you get it. So when you are using your calculator, make sure it's in degrees, not radians, degrees. So even if you're using an actual physical calculator, if you go to mode on your calculator, you can change it. Like, for example, I have a TI-36X Pro. I got it on Amazon for like $20. If I push mode, I can put it in degrees, radians, or gradians. I think that's what it stands for. So if you need to convert, my calculator gives me answers in radicals. I can convert it back and forth from a radical to a decimal. But in order to convert a radical to a decimal, just enter it in the calculator, because the answers for the homework are in radical form. Radicals are just a, you know, easier way to write a long decimal, because who has time to write that? Nobody. Moving on. Okay, so the unit goes over the Pythagorean theorem first, which you should know how to do, but don't worry, when we get to the unit test, we will go over that. Let's just focus on our special right triangles right now. So it says in this triangle, we are looking for side DE. Well, there's two of the three sides here. So this one, you could just use the Pythagorean theorem. That's not always the case, though. So remember, the Pythagorean theorem is a squared plus b squared equals c squared. I'm looking for my hypotenuse. Hypotenuse is always c. It's always the longest side across from the 90-degree angle. Usually, most students learn this in basic geometry. Don't worry about it too much right now. If you haven't, like I said, we'll go over it when we do the unit test. But I'm looking for my c squared. It is the square root of 18, which can be simplified. If I enter 18 in my calculator, it simplifies it to 3 radical 2. Okay, so you can do the Pythagorean theorem when you have two of the three sides, but you can see here we only have an angle, and we only have an angle on a side. We are looking for the other side here. So it wants us to find x. Well, this is a 60-degree angle. This is opposite of that. This is adjacent. So remember, we're using SOH CAH TOA. So how do you decide which one to use? And this is very important, so pay close attention. How do you decide which one to use? Well, if I am looking for the opposite side of this angle, I have to use a trigonometry ratio that has opposite in it. If I am given the adjacent side, and it's best to label these first when you're first starting out, label them. If I am only given the adjacent side, then I cannot use this one, right? I don't have the hypotenuse. How am I supposed to find a missing side if I don't have two of the sides? So that's how you decide which one to use. I have the adjacent side, I'm going with tangent. Tangent 60, why 60? Because they gave you a 60-degree angle, is equal to the opposite side, which is, we don't know, over adjacent, which is 2. So when you learn to solve equations in Algebra 1, you learn to move things around with your equations, which was very important. You know, solving equations is probably one of the most important things you will learn in Algebra 1 besides graphing. So if I am solving for x, your algebra rules still apply when you move stuff around, right? Remember, you learn to solve equations, and they tell you when you want to move stuff around, if something is being divided, how do you move it to the other side? You multiply, and vice versa. When something's being added, how do you move it to the other side? You subtract, and vice versa. The same thing applies here. I want to get this x alone, x divided by 2. That's basically what a fraction is, division, right? X divided by 2, it's division. How do I move it to the other side? I multiply. I need to move that 2 to the other side if I want to get the x alone. This then gets me 2x over 2. The 2 cancels out, which is what I want. And so now I have 2 times tangent 60. And now that is what I'm going to enter in my calculator. So why did I close Desmos? Let's go back. Desmos, we need you. Okay, 2 tangent 60. There's my answer, 3.46. Let me clear the screen. Okay, well, like I said, if you want to turn these radicals into a decimal, just put them in the calculator. So I'm looking for an answer that's going to be 3.46 rounded to the nearest hundredth. So they have 2 radical 2. Nope. They have 2 radical 3. Oh, there it is. There's my answer. And that's how you do it. Just so you know, Khan Academy does it a different method. If you want to learn their method, go ahead. That's not the way I learn, so I don't teach it that way. Both methods work just the same. You will get the same answer. It's just 2 different ways of doing things. That happens sometimes in math quite a bit. There's different ways to do things. As long as you get to the right answer, I don't care which method you use. Okay, so same thing here. So we are looking for the hypotenuse, which is opposite of the 90-degree angle as always. They gave us a 30-degree angle. This is the opposite side of that angle. This is adjacent. So remember, label the sides. It helps. Okay, so I have, remember, we're using SOH CAH TOA. I have the adjacent side. I'm looking for the hypotenuse. I have the adjacent side. I'm looking for the hypotenuse. I'm going with cosine. Cosine 30, why 30? Because they gave me a 30-degree angle, is equal to the adjacent side, which is 6, over the hypotenuse. Okay, now I need to get the x alone. How do I do that? Well, first I need to multiply it to the other side, so it cancels out over here. Then I need to divide both sides by cosine 30. That way it cancels out over here. And then I have it on the right side. So I now have x is equal to 6 divided by cosine 30. Make sure you are careful when moving things around. You want to move it around correctly. So now I need to enter that in my calculator. X is equal to 6 divided, no, 6 divided by cosine 30. And so that's what I mean about playing with the calculator. You can see earlier when I did, 6 divided, it didn't, that didn't work so well. So you can do it that way. Like you could do it the fraction first. 6 divided by cosine 30. Or you can do, 6 divided by cosine 30, as long as it enters it in correctly. That's what I mean about playing around with your calculator. So 6.93 is what I get. So let's convert these radicals. We have 3 radical 3. Nope. 4 radical 3. Yep, that one works. There's my answer. Okay, last one. They gave us the 60-degree angle. We have the adjacent side of that angle. We're looking for the hypotenuse. Once again, we're using cosine. Cosine 30 is equal to the adjacent side over the hypotenuse. Okay, same thing. Multiply x to the other side, divide by cosine 30, and you are left with 2 radical 3 divided by cosine 30. You're going to put that in your calculator. 2 radical 3. See, these are where it gets a little weird. Put this button, that way it doesn't, if you don't push it, it like makes it kind of weird. So where's the delete button? Oh, whatever, do it again. 2 radical 3 divided by cosine 30 gets me 4. Okay, that's easy enough. Oh, I did something wrong. Hold on. Let's see. Okay, so this is the adjacent side. I'm looking for the hypotenuse, cosine 30, SOH CAH TOA. Cosine equals adjacent side over, oh, I know why. It's because I put 30. Make sure you put the right degrees. Everyone makes mistakes. Easy to make mistakes. So that's what you don't do. Okay, now let's get the correct answer. 2 radical 3 divided by cosine 60, not 30, 6.93. I'm guessing it's the radical. And that's how you do it. So, make sure you practice these. And I know it may be very confusing at first, but once you get these down, they're very easy. And then the rest of this unit after that, once you get these down, the rest of the unit, easy. The rest of the unit is basically doing the same thing over and over again, just different, doing a little different stuff. Okay, so if you have any questions or need more videos, let me know. Good luck.